now they all love. Nobody trusted. Look at me go. Hey, pressure been building, I gotta raise up the ceiling. Look at me go. Hey, these other rappers be my children, all in they feelings. Look at me go. Hey, turning that nothing to something, now they all love it. Look at me go. Hey, can't even go out in public, nobody trusted. Look at me go. Hey, pressure been building, I gotta raise up the ceiling. Look at me go. Hey, these other rappers be my children, all in they feelings. Look at me go. All of these rappers been getting richer when they always be rapping about being rich. That don't make sense to me cause I relate to the rappers who talking about real shit. I don't got time for that jibber jabber cause I already know what the deal is. They only here for today but they leaving tomorrow like they on a field trip. Windows tinted when I'm pulling up, feel like I'm Heisenberg cooking up. And if you been talking that crazy, got Dre with me and he fix you up. Who you know been dropping hit after hit after hit after hit. I'm on a mission, they get in my way and everybody knows that I'm never gon' miss. Look at me go. Hey, turning that nothing to something, now they all love it. Look at me go. Hey, can't even go out in public, nobody trusted. Look at me go. Hey, pressure been building, I gotta raise up the ceiling. Look at me go. Hey, these other rappers be my children, all in they feelings. Look at me go. Hey, turning that nothing to something, now they all love it. Look at me go. Hey, can't even go out in public, nobody trusted. Look at me go. Hey, pressure been building, I gotta raise up the ceiling. Look at me go. Hey, these other rappers be my children, all in they feelings. Look at me go. Spending more time with my fam, cause they the only ones who know what I've been through. Everybody riding waves, looking like they gotta find a new swimsuit. Made a promise to myself, I'm never gonna stop till I get what I'm meant to. I don't need much to be happy, just enough money to pay when the rent's due. Touring the world, I'ma make it happen. Meeting the fans who I made it happen. Know that I'll never be losing traction. Best in the game, yeah, I be the captain. Living my life with a chip on my shoulder. Lately it feels like a boulder. Looked at my watch and I don't have no time to chill. I need a meal. Look at me go. Hey, turning that nothing to something, now they all love it. Look at me go. Hey, can't even go out in public, nobody trusted. Look at me go. Hey, pressure been building, I gotta raise up the ceiling. Look at me go. Hey, these other rappers be my children, all in they feelings. Look at me go. Hey, turning that nothing to something, now they all love it. Look at me go. Hey, can't even go out in public, nobody trusted. Look at me go. Hey, pressure been building, I gotta raise up the ceiling. Look at me go. Hey, these other rappers be my children, all in they feelings. Look at me go. Hey, tell them I'm built different, got a problem, I deal with it. Count it up and I count again just to make sure not a bill missing. 2020 got good vision, in my lane on the road to riches. 12 years I put in work, they wondering how I'm still winning. Go tell them I'm built different, run the game like I'm playing Madden. Call the plays, I'm the team captain. In the gym, got my reps up, I'm getting better, I'm still standing. Fake friends, they be praying on my downfall. Make me wanna go work harder, cause I won't ever let it happen. Everyone got their own story, I'm telling mine, reaching worldwide. Hoping some people can relate and keep working to a better life. I've been out here trying to motivate while they be giving out fake advice. I don't do this just to make a living, I do this shit just to stay alive. Yeah, I'm doing me, nothing be making me nervous. Nothing was given, I earned it, and this wasn't luck, it was certain. I bet on myself and I cashed out, nobody making me crash out. I'm too determined, I keep on learning if they be wondering how. Tell them I'm built different, got a problem, I deal with it. Count it up and I count again just to make sure not a bill missing. 2020 got good vision, in my lane on the road to riches. 12 years I put in work, they wondering how I'm still winning. Go tell them I'm built different, veteran but I'm still dropping. They used to hate, now they plead copping. I'm in the lab while they bar hopping, got what I wanted, I'm not stopping. They see the work and their jaw dropping. I check the bank and I'm merely rocking. Not motivated by dollar signs, but at 9/11 my next option. Yeah, expensive taste from a young age, my life a journey. I turn the page to the next one, I'ma make it great. Had to build it from the ground up, so I'm proud of what I have attained. Championship mindset, I don't take L's, I elevate. Yeah, getting better on a daily, never gonna see me complaining. The old me is not the same me, and nothing ever gonna faze me. Been to the peaks, I've been to the valleys, but I still made it out to the other side. They wondering how I kept my spirit high. Tell them I'm built different, got a problem, I deal with it. Count it up and I count again just to make sure not a bill missing. We just keep on winning and I know they can't stand it. We do not relate like I'm from a different planet. I've been going crazy lately, I've been trying to manage. I'm out of control, I'ma keep on doing damage. If you come around me, I'ma let it bang. I don't wanna see them ever coming in my lane. They keep trying to call, I'ma always let it ring. I don't need nobody, I'ma do it for the team. As soon as I get it, I'm never looking back. Everything I see, I keep inside and put it on the track. I don't need a copper Bugatti to show I'm making racks. Put my heart in every line and they all trying to paint it black. Damn, if you want the drip, I'm Aquafina. They been trying to ride my way, but I just move like Katrina. My demeanor been meaner than ever. I'm living way better when I don't put all my effort into pleasing people, forgetting everything that I do, everything that I say. Lately I've been overthinking, gotta get out my way. I've been trying to do it all before I run out of days. And when it's all said and done, I hope they see what I gave. Yeah, we just keep on winning and I know they can't stand it. We do not relate like I'm from a different planet. I've been going crazy lately, I've been trying to manage. I'm out of control, I'ma keep on doing damage. If you come around me, I'ma let it bang. I don't wanna see them ever coming in my lane. They keep trying to call, I'ma always let it ring. I don't need nobody, I'ma do it for the team. Please don't call my phone, I've been in the tropics. If we talking business, I just wanna see the profit. They must think I'm gothic cause I've been a hot topic. The music hitting hard and I'm not playing for the Rockets. If we shooting for the top, I got 100 rounds. Keep the ammo by my side just in case they run me down. They looking for they flow, I seen it in the lost and found. Put that money where your mouth is and we never hear a sound. Shh. But they all trying to be great. Everybody in a rush, I'm okay if I'm late. I'm just following my path, it ain't really a race. And if you in it for the cash, we can never relate. Yeah, we just keep on winning and I know they can't stand it. We do not relate like I'm from a different planet. I've been going crazy lately, I've been trying to manage. I'm out of control, I'ma keep on doing damage. If you come around me, I'ma let it bang. I don't wanna see them ever coming in my lane. They keep trying to call, I'ma always let it ring. I don't need nobody, I'ma do it for the team. Yeah, run up. We back in this thing. Let's go. Hey, look at me now, they cannot fuck with me now. Yeah. I'm at the top of the mountain, hop in the whip and I'm out. Yeah. Go look around, nobody holding me down. Yeah. I figured it out, they gotta give me my crown. Yeah. Hey, look at me now, they cannot fuck with me now. Yeah. I'm at the top of the mountain, hop in the whip and I'm out. Yeah. Go look around, nobody holding me down. Yeah. I figured it out, they gotta give me my crown. Yeah. I never been fit in a model, I did it my way and now they wanna follow. Just give me my credit and we got no problem. I'm working my way up, I came from the bottom. I look at my idols and enemies, don't give a fuck what you telling me. I talked to God and he told me it's meant to be. All of the money gon' show you the jealousy. Don't give a fuck cause you're not in my lane. They wanna be me but we not the same. Hop in the Bentley, she hop in the range. My life is amazing, I cannot complain. Watch how I level up running the game. Whole lot of shit that I cannot explain. They see my kindness and take it for weakness. I promise you don't wanna get in my way. Yeah. Hey, look at me now, they cannot fuck with me now. Yeah. I'm at the top of the mountain, hop in the whip and I'm out. Yeah. Go look around, nobody holding me down. Yeah. I figured it out, they gotta give me my crown. Yeah. Hey, look at me now, they cannot fuck with me now. Yeah. I'm at the top of the mountain, hop in the whip and I'm out. Yeah. Go look around, nobody holding me down. Yeah. I figured it out, they gotta give me my crown. Yeah. I want it, I get it, I'm not letting nobody holding me back. My shorty the baddest, I give her the Birkin cause I'ma go run it up, get in the bag. I spend it like crazy for all of the times that I wanted the shit that I never could have. I'm still independent, they offering millions, but they want control, I'm not giving them that. Look at me, I'm everything that they couldn't be. I'm about to fly out to Italy, getting the bread, it's all new to me. Don't be invading my prophecy, cause we on your head if we gotta be.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody, on a Tuesday, I think it is. I'm going to go ahead and grab Jason and bring Jason in. What's going on, Jason?
What's happening, man?
Oh,
man, everything is going great. Here it is. It's Tuesday.
Hey, we're streaming on a Tuesday.
Streaming on a Tuesday.
We're streaming on
darn close to on time. I know.
What? What smart ass thing you got to say this morning?
Just wondering how your Tesla 48-hour demo
No. I almost got divorced over the weekend when I brought it up to the wife. She wanted to stab me in the kidneys and asked me if I'd been possessed by something crazy, and I said, Jason, talk to me. And she was like, oh, that explains everything.
Oh man. Wow.
That's the first time I've seen a request like that. I don't mind this one at all. If it's live, Cyber and Security needs to tell me what the current temp in Raleigh is. Let's see here. Let's prove that it's live. It is currently 79, partly cloudy, with a 53% chance of 0.15 inches of rain today. Gonna be a good day for a golf day.
June 10th, 11:05 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.
It is.
You know, this is as live as it gets, and not only that, but you and I, we only had like 5 or 6 minutes before live stream time to actually catch up. Otherwise, I haven't talked to you since 2 weeks ago.
We did, and I was wondering. I didn't get any text messages from you last week. I almost felt like a neglected girlfriend when you didn't text me last week, and you're like, hey, can we sync up on the stream next week? I was like, I kind of half expected it, but I didn't get anything from you.
I'm sorry, man. So, to be honest with you, and this is one of the things I wanted to chit chat with you about today and share with, the public, chat, people watching the live stream, is we had a little bit of a snafu last week. And the snafu is we had
hold on. Don't ruin it. Don't ruin it. Don't ruin it just yet. Don't ruin it just yet.
Sorry.
We got to do the normal thing. We got to do rules. We got to do rules.
Right. I forget it. Every time I forget about the rules.
That's right. The rules are super important. And we got to cover a couple programming things too. So let's hit the rules really fast because Jason's obviously like clamoring at the bit to tell y'all what happened last week.
Because we're low.
That's right. So real quick, Chad, if this is your first time here, welcome. Thank you very much. If you're a regular here, thank you so very much for tuning in yet again and take time out of your day to tune into Cyber and Security. I'm joined by my good friend, as you could tell, Jason Miller, who's CEO of BitLyft. This is our Tuesday threat breakdown stream that we do every Tuesday, unless, of course, we miss a Tuesday, and then it's whatever freaking day we choose to do it.
Or that our time on the calendar allows us to.
That's right. Jason obviously takes time out of running his company to sit down with us every 2 weeks and kind of talk to us about the latest and greatest threats and bring you all actionable intelligence from the field that you can take back with you on your day-to-day basis. So, give a huge shout out to Jason for that. With that being said, we are streaming live across LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch, X, and a bunch of BitLyft channels. If you're looking for me on LinkedIn, on my normal channels, you currently can't catch me on my normal channels on LinkedIn. I'm actually streaming to BitLyft's LinkedIn channel, and so I want to give a huge shout out, Jason. Thanks for letting me stream to the BitLyft channel. LinkedIn, unfortunately, only allows me to stream to one LinkedIn at a time, so if you're looking for me on LinkedIn,
losers,
go look for me on BitLyft's LinkedIn channel instead of my LinkedIn channel. But you are welcome to tune into us, Twitch, YouTube as well. With that being said, we do have moderators in chat. Huge shout out to my moderators. Moderators are here to keep chat free of racist, sexist, misogynistic, elitist, and otherwise toxic behavior. The only toxicity that's allowed is whatever Jason and I fling at each other. Otherwise, there's no toxicity in chat whatsoever. We are here to create an inclusive environment for everybody to commune and interact with their fellow cybersecurity professionals all across the industry. With that being said, make sure you are taking time to chat with folks in chat, whatever platform you happen to be chatting at. It's a good opportunity. And also, likewise, don't forget, hop on over to Discord, and go and hang out with folks over on Discord. Also, speaking of Discord, that is where all the giveaways happen. So you do need to be over on Discord, signed up for the Discord notifications channel in the giveaway to be eligible for any giveaways. Jason, are we giving something away this week? I didn't see anything from Hannah.
Today, we're taking a pause.
Got it.
Today, we're taking a pause. But, however, we have been giving away some Humble Bumbles. So that happened last time.
It did.
2 weeks ago. And then we are prepping for some really cool giveaways on future streams. And I haven't even told you yet. And it's secret. Because
Oh,
if I spill the beans, then it's not a secret anymore.
okay. All right. So you hear that? We're gonna take a pause on giveaways for today, but tune in the future. We will get some giveaways going. All right. With that being the rules being said, now that we've set the rules in place, what happened last week?
Threat briefing notes right
Look
here.
at you.
Buddy.
Look at
Threat briefing
see. For those who are like, we've had this conversation on stream before where we talk about like notepads and old fashioned pen and paper. It's not
Dude,
just for
I love it.
it's not just for the old people. But I'll tell you what, like I'll show you like my mind, like so you can tell when I struggle to take notes. Like it's nothing but doodles. Right? It's nothing but doodles all the way around. Because it's like sometimes you get like spaghetti in your head and you can't figure out like how to get it out on paper.
I'm of the opinion you just got to start like writing stuff down. And it'll make sense. It just takes some time. You got to think about it out loud. You got to think about it on a sheet of paper.
Yeah.
But so like getting into today's threat briefing, and you guys might say today's threat briefing is going to be a threat briefing. You are going to come away with threat intelligence. I can promise you that. It's going to be a little different than, we're not going to be firing off IOCs and IP addresses at you today, but today is going to be a little different.
Why not, Jason? Why not?
Well, this is my opinion, and I'm cautioned to say it. I'm very cautious to say it, but within the last week or two, we have seen a little bit less of the human criminal hacking.
Really?
And we almost wonder if these guys have gone on holiday.
Really? Now that you said it, there's going to be a massive incident all across BitLyft. You guys are so screwed. You guys are so screwed.
I'm like knocking on wood over here, But hey, and if you are a criminal hacker, stay on holiday. Go have some fun, spend some of that money that you have stocked up. You deserve it. Right?
You deserve it. You've worked really hard for that money this year.
Worked really hard.
Wait a minute. Hold on. So you're telling me that like we've started this stream in January. And every 2 weeks in January, since January, we've had constant updates on threats. You're telling me that you can actually have lulls in a SOC where you're not dealing with anything?
Well, you're dealing with stuff, but it is what we would consider lower level. Like it's still the automated campaigns, it's still the automated phishing, and it's still a lot of automated stuff happening. But you definitely can tell if you've got a dot plot going that in the summertime and right about May, June, kids get out of school, holiday starts to happen, summertime takes place, you can actually see the attacks go down.
Wow.
And this isn't just me saying this. I mean, other large reports have come out.
Yeah.
The other thing that I want to point out here, and I just had a conversation about this a couple weeks ago on one of my other streams that I was doing with a guy he's out in California. He solely does incident response, works with insurance companies. That his company has contracts with insurance companies. And they come in and they do the incident response, cleanup, containment, all of that after bang, left, right of boom, right?
Yeah.
And he said his exact words were that they have a human element problem too. That they have a shortage of people to carry out the tasks post-automation. So where we might have an employment shortage in a particular industry or vertical here in the United States, these folks actually have a shortage of people to carry out their tasks over there. Right?
By the way, this is not an advocate for anybody on chat to go looking for a job with cyber criminals. Let's just make that expressly clear.
No.
That does not mean that you should go over there because there's a gap and there's a people need over on the cyber criminal side. Let's just make sure that we're saying that out loud.
You might make a lot more money than you do here at your current job. but I don't advise it.
I don't advise
it's so
it.
criminal activity.
So they're struggling. Listen, there's a that's a weird thing to think about, right? Is that like it's either a good thing that they don't have enough people to perpetuate their attacks, or it's a bad thing because there's so many things that they're hacking into that they don't have enough people to perpetuate their attacks.
Yeah. It really was a mind bender because I had not thought about employment shortage for criminal hacking in other countries. I had not thought about it. Like I thought, that just had not occurred to me. It's like thinking about the reverse of the problem, right? We're over here, playing whack-a-mole all day long, as best as we possibly can. And then they're over there saying, we just have a human shortage problem, no different than we need more people to build a building over here, more construction workers or something like that.
Yeah. All right. So all the hackers are taking vacation is what you're saying. Everybody's safe for now.
Well, I think that there's a little bit of a lull going on. And what I would mean by that is take a moment, take a deep breath and enjoy the lull, because I can guarantee you, the sea goes out and you have low tide.
Yeah.
I promise you the sea comes back.
So what is BitLyft? What does it look like on a BitLyft, MSP perspective when it gets kind of lully like this?
So you take this time to focus in on tidying up systems, maintenance, going in and tweaking and tuning some of the alarms and alerts and some of the stuff that maybe you haven't gotten to because you've been too busy fighting fires. Mm-hmm. You take time to perform that maintenance activity, perform some of the other activity that you just don't get to do when you're, it's high tide and you're just busy. You can't see straight. Yeah. What we try and do is then work on that lower level items with customers and say, hey, we couldn't get to this 3, 4, or 5 months ago. Can we get this project back on the board, back inside of the sprint, and try and tackle this within the next month or two?
This would be kind of like if we were looking at things from so as a SANS instructor for Chad didn't know, as a SANS instructor for about 5 years, one of the things I taught was GCIH, or the incident handler course. You talk about the 6 phases of incident response. We're now really far left on kind of that preparation phase of that incident response process, aren't we?
Yeah. Yeah. And what I would say is we're talking to people about, hey, if now is the time you want to do that firewall update, you want to, your firewalls are 3-5 years old and you've been talking about, ripping them out and replacing them. And that's going to be a large project and task. Like, you probably should get those things procured and let's get them in place and get that project going. We see a lot of people doing network updates right now, meaning just generally updating all of the network equipment, Wi-Fi, core switches, that type of thing. When you can take the time to do that, so that's on-prem activities. Out in the cloud, we see a lot of people, decomming, old infrastructure out in the cloud and replacing it with new. And getting the opportunity to say, oh, well, these containers and these machines have been running for a year or two. We want to go ahead and just get them replaced and get new ones spun up. And so we see a lot of that activity right now. While time is you have a little bit more time.
Let me ask you something, because you talked a lot, like what you just described sounds very much like just cleaning up some of the tech debt, and that feels very maintenance-y type of activity.
Sure.
What about forward looking? What about adding new signatures? What about adding new alerting? What about looking around the corner for so if we're in a lull, right? If all the hackers are on vacation these days, they're going to come back from vacation, and I don't know how you are, but when I'm on vacation, I think of all sorts of new ways to do all the cool things that I wanted to do. I'm sure hackers come back from vacation and think about all the new ways they want to hack into companies. how much of that, what's kind of that split between maintenance versus looking around the corner and preparing for kind of that next high tide scenario?
Yeah, and that's a great question. I mean, like when I'm talking about maintenance, there's always security and road mapping in play,
Mm-hmm.
and that in light of, so what would happen is the last 3, 4, 5, 6 months or a year, maybe you've been talking about, hey, these alarms and these alerts are going off for these such reasons, and you've been tweaking and tuning along the way. But you get to a point where it's like, okay, well, something either needs to be replaced or overhauled or just done in a better way in order to completely fix this security issue.
Mm-hmm.
And this is like that time to kind of do it. We kind of look towards like sometimes summertime, June, July, and August are some of the best months to get through that future forward, your not only your roadmap or your blueprint of what does the next 6 to 12 months look like for IT and security, and what are we going to be putting in, what are we going to be replacing, but at the same time, what new projects are going to go into place, because you kind of want to get those done and get them out of the way
Mm-hmm.
before, say like November, December rolls around and that type of thing. But I mean, from a standpoint of like alerting and alarming and detection methods, that is the time where we can say like, okay, we've been talking about this list, probably 150 to 250 items in the list.
Mm-hmm.
And there's always this churn of replacing old alarms and alerts with new alarms and alerts. Why did we decommission the old ones? Well, because something changed, right? Criteria changed, or maybe you're using AI and the AI helped you enhance, those alert metrics. You're looking at the metrics and how we can better perform on them. Those are all items that, kind of happen in this time period.
Mm-hmm.
They are something that I wanted to cruise to is like, that's actually how we were able to identify, a situation that even happened in our own environment last week. And it wasn't a security situation.
Okay. Say more.
So I want to dive into this, and this would be like where we're being vulnerable, but we're also being honest. And one thing I'd like to ask chat is like, has anybody experienced an outage? Raise your hand if you've ever experienced an outage.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unplanned.
Yeah.
Something goes down.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. More often than I care to admit.
Man.
I mean, I imagine an outage for you though is probably pretty, I don't want to say detrimental, but probably pretty impactful, since you provide services for a multitude of companies.
Yeah, and the reason why I'm sharing this publicly is this wasn't like a mass outage where like everything went down, right?
Sure. But it's still impactful on cyber defense.
Still impactful on cyber defense. And the other question that I want to pose before I completely dive into this is I would want you to think about, hey, I've experienced an outage. How did we respond?
Mm-hmm.
How did I respond as an individual?
Mm.
How did the team respond to the outage as a team response? And then I'll jump into this.
Well, I mean, so if I were to answer that, right, like I think this is going to sound sad to say, but I'll go back to some of the larger companies that I've worked at. I would almost say that outages get way more visibility than cyber events, because outages at a certain level oftentimes absolutely impact the business in a very, very direct way. I worked for a company one time that, one of the e-commerce sites that they had, generates something to the tune of $10 million a day. An outage on an hour of that is really, really close to millions of dollars worth of lost revenue.
Depending on what time of the day, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so I would almost argue you see more hair on fire during an outage, regrettably, than you do during a cyber incident in most cases.
Oh yeah. Yeah, because the business understands outage.
Yeah.
the business doesn't always understand the cyber risk, which
That's
is, I'm
right.
hoping, one of the topics we can get to today. But you're 100% right. I've built up in my time. I spent a bunch of time in data centers and racking and stacking equipment for companies, and large and small. And I'll tell you what, everybody understands outage. Doesn't matter who you're talking to.
Crystal
CFO,
clear.
CEO, crystal clear. Outages, and then outage to them automatically means like downtime money, money loss, right?
Yeah.
But we often, I think sometimes we even fail to communicate properly. Cybersecurity risk also can equate to outage, but it just isn't seen. Like, it doesn't affect the whole company sometimes.
Yeah.
And sometimes it does affect the whole company. But, most of the time, if you have an outage, everybody's on an all hands call.
Absolutely.
And yeah, you're diving deep into it.
Yeah. There's almost always there's almost always some crisis. Like, one company I was at was notorious that every outage was a crisis, and their crisis playbook always immediately started with a war room. And you had to staff the war room from all the different departments, and that was always highly disruptive in terms of doing it. And I always wished, I was like, man, why can't we get that for most of these cyber incidents that occur? The only time I was able to get that for a cyber incident, honestly, was when WannaCry hit.
Yeah. It's looked at differently, which I don't quite understand, because a cyber incident, let's just say, for instance, it wasn't even ransomware and somebody just stole data, or an account was compromised and the account exfiltrated data. That still has an impact to the business. So let's get together in a room and talk about what just occurred.
You would think that it would go down like that.
Yeah. But it doesn't get the attention, of a lot of folks still.
Yeah.
And I think that's yet to be determined. I think we have to interview, more people in order to figure out, well, like, what's the mindset behind that?
Yeah. So you guys had an outage last week.
So we had an outage last week. It was minimal. It did not occur across the entire environment, which I'm very thankful for.
Yeah.
But we still, and some of the things that I want to share with the live stream today is that building your systems and architecting your systems in such a way where there is points of failure, and you want to build things to the point where they could fail.
You said you want to build things to the point they could fail.
They could fail, but you have redundancies.
Yeah.
I just needed to finish that sentence. But yes, you have to build things in a way like, okay, if this fails, what's our redundancy, right?
Yeah.
Now, in our case last week, it was a Monday, of course.
Of course.
And I have a friend in the space that it's like always happens on Monday,
Never fails.
Never fails. But so one of our folks pushed some code, and then the code ended up breaking some things, and we did end up on a call and got our arms around it pretty quickly identified the issue, and I think the thing that for me, and what I tried to coach the team on is like, okay, we have a problem. We're human.
Yeah.
And there was a human element into this.
Yeah.
And so, like, one is how do we reduce the human element? So when we do these code pushes, there's more checksums, even more than the checksums.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you, was like, I'm sure like we've had you on numerous times. We've had Noah on numerous times. You've been a part of this community for 6 months now. I think everybody's expecting excellence out of you. Are we to assume that you didn't have processes and procedures in place to keep this from happening? Or did you, and they just weren't good enough? Like, it's like, look in the mirror, and how did this happen?
I would say we had processes and procedures in place. But this is where I'm just being brutally honest and say, like, still a process and procedure has room for margin of error, and it could always be improved. And so we looked back. The person followed the process, the procedure, but there was still a human element that caused the outage. And so my conversation with the team is like, okay, let's fix the problem. Let's get the services back up and online that are offline. But like, let's not dwell too long on the human error here. Let's ask ourselves, how do we move the human error out of this? Right? How do we prevent this from happening again? And then like come around each other on it. And this is where I think it's extremely important of building the proper culture inside the company, in building that culture that doesn't point fingers and start dropping F-bombs at one another and oh, it was like so-and-so's fault. You know, it's like, okay, well, I have made a lot of mistakes in my life. So let's just get that out on the table. Like, I'm probably going to make more mistakes going forward in the future. Right. We all can't be, you know, Neil.
Wow. Nice try. Appreciate that. But
yeah. But like, looking forward, how do we prevent this? Somebody having this type of issue again in the future.
So is AI the answer? If you take the human out of the loop, is AI the answer?
I don't think AI is the answer in this particular case.
Okay.
But I think AI could help. You keep bringing up AI.
I do.
Like, is every episode we're going to have AI?
I've been red pilled on the AI thing, man.
I know you have.
I want to have dedicated AI streams because, like,
I'm drinking your red pill right here. You know.
Yeah, I noticed. Is that sweet tea or is that unsweet tea? I meant to ask you that.
This is unsweet tea.
Good.
I can't have all that sugar.
Good. I was gonna say, like, you probably don't need all that sugar. We were having a fitness conversation in Discord earlier, and want to make sure you weren't, you know, bringing unhealthy habits onto the stream.
Yeah.
Sonic says ADHD hyperfixation. You know what? Leave my hyperfixation out of this. So no, but I mean, in all seriousness, right? Isn't that the business conversation? A human made an error.
Yep.
Can you take the human out of the loop?
Honestly, I don't think we can.
In this particular case, or in general?
I think in general. I think in this particular case, you can take the human out of this particular case that I'm talking about for last week. But I still think it needs a human element. I think we will still have human error going forward. Will we be able to reduce the human error? Absolutely. But like I said to a couple of team members, I think this is the first time that we've had like an outage like this, like a true outage in years. And so the fact of the matter that we've made it that long without without an outage is like really good.
How do you communicate that to your customers, or do you? God, I'm sure you do. I'm sure you've communicated that to your customers. I hope they're not finding out on stream right today.
Yeah.
Hey, all the BitLyft customers, guess what? There was an outage last week,
and you never noticed. And you never noticed is because we built redundancies into the system.
So. Look at that.
Yeah. But first of all, honesty. You have to communicate with your customers with honesty and transparency because, like my dad always told me, once you start a lie, it just rolls and rolls and rolls, and eventually you've got this huge lie that you can't unwind.
Yeah.
And so one thing that we have always done at BitLyft is be honest and transparent. So you communicate with your customers, hey, we had an outage and we identified it very quickly and we resolved the outage. And oh, by the way, you probably never even noticed because of the way that our systems are architected and designed.
Yeah.
And that was the case. I mean, logs still flowed into systems. They still hit their queues and analyzation, and it just worked differently for a time period until all the systems were back online and systems were chugging back along again.
Yeah.
So all that though, like detection still occurred, response and alerts still occurred. And the one thing the reason why I'm talking about this publicly is because you don't see a lot of companies talking about it publicly.
Yeah.
And you also don't see them talking about it in real time. Like, a week ago, they're all, nobody wants to say we're a human and we have errors and we have problems.
So with that being said, like, let's go back to the education part of the stream, right? Which is, how can people prepare? Like, what are the top 3 things that maybe you guys changed coming out of this? Or to your point, like, this is the first outage you guys have had in years. What are the top 3 best practices in terms of being able to prepare for that level of defensive redundancy, if you will?
One is we've thought about the way that we built our systems and how data flows into our cloud in such a way that if this goes down, then this. And then if this goes down, well, we're okay with maybe a 5-minute, 10-minute, 15-minute, outage here. There's areas where you might be okay with taking an outage. One is you have to think about not losing data. In all cases, you want to make sure that you're queuing data or holding data someplace where you don't have data loss, right? Because that would be very bad to go back to your customers and say, hey, we need to get the the logs or the something or the data for this X time period. And then you have to tell them that we don't have that data because we lost it. And that's not true in this case, but so the one main point is building and architecting your system so that there is failure or risk tolerance in place. So one is we take the approach we never want to lose data, and so when we ingest data, it goes to 2 places at a minimum, and then we still back up the data in systems. So you technically say we have 3 copies of the data, and so you can say, well, that's costly, and yes, it is, but it's also like we're not willing to risk losing data.
It's funny you say that. Literally, chat just dropped that into question about cost. Like, what about cost?
Yeah. So there is a cost associated with it. And some of it, the reason, like in AWS.
I was gonna say, talk about the business reason, talk about the business thought process that goes behind this.
One is we never want to go back to a customer and say, hey, we don't have the data for a time period. That would be an awful conversation. And then they say, well, you obviously failed at, what we hired you to do.
Yeah.
And we would have to agree with them at that point. But we see this, we've seen this in other products where when the data flows in to a SIM log management tool, that if it's not put somewhere else beyond this point, the likelihood of you getting that data back for, like, say, rehydration or to reanalyze later on, and have it be raw and untouched is difficult in a lot of systems today. We've seen, probably no joke, 10, 11, 12 major brand name SIMs out in the space today, and you understand how they work and how data flows in. You're very experienced at this, Neil, and so you kind of like when you talk about data flow, and so right up front, as soon as we receive data in the very beginning, we put it in a second place, at a minimum, and then we back that data up, and it's all for the mere fact that there is a cost to it, and I'll address this. So some of it we're building in to what we do, and we can go back to a customer and say, hey, as part of what we're doing in our design and our cost, we have 2 copies of your data, but it's better than what you're doing now, and and I would argue it's debatable that it's better than most MDR providers out in the space today.
Well, I would also say that like I think that there's an unstated value, and I think you hit on it a little bit, right? Is you're charged with evaluating a block of data to determine if an adversarial action happened. If that block of data goes missing, you've now violated a trust contract, if you will, with your clients that you can no longer fulfill. On top of that, and then secondarily, to your point, there's so much data that happens in a corporate network at any given time. To say you just want this block of data to get down to the millisecond of when that outage started to when that outage end, so that you could in some way provide validation that or assurance that no adversarial activity happened inside of that window, is damn near impossible to have.
Yeah. And then if you think about the highly compliant customers that we have, COs, CMMC, DoD, banks, like you cannot go back to them and say, hey, we don't have your log data, your audit log data for a period of time. They would end the contract.
100%, right? Without a doubt.
So, that, and so I hope your takeaway here is viewers, listeners, chat is like, you want to be building and architecting your systems in such a way where, if you classify this data, your log data as critical need, and you need it in raw, you need to be making sure that the service for either you internally or your service provider that you're using has 2 copies of it. I think that's a minimum requirement today.
Or you should be doing something from a data retention perspective that, to your point, ensures that you have visibility at all times.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I would say it is relatively inexpensive enough where you can do it out in like AWS and Azure.
Oh yeah.
You don't have to keep this in hot, right? This isn't like I need this in 2 seconds from now. And so this isn't hot storage. This is cold retention storage.
Yeah.
But the mere fact that you have it and that you can retain it and retrieve it and call it back, say a couple hours or even a day later, like you just saved everybody's bacon.
Yeah.
Everybody is like not sweating bullets and they're able to move on.
So from a preparation perspective, it sounded like kind of like your number one thing that your takeaway from, if you're talking about like, hey, now's the best time to prepare, you're looking for some things that you can prepare ahead of any type of outage, understanding your data, making sure you know where it is, and making sure that you have access to it if there's an outage or not. Sounds like the 3 kind of like big things that you're really hitting home on.
Yes, 100%.
No.
Yeah.
You mentioned, go ahead.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
No, I was going to pivot on you. So if you got a follow on thought. Yeah.
Yeah. The one thing that I would add to that as well is if you want like a 4th thing is that we added is have additional checksums. So like when we push code, right, there's you have code checkers. You have a whole process of pushing from dev to prod. But at the same time, what we have implemented is peer review. So, the person that wrote the code is not the person that's going to push the code.
Yeah.
So then the person that's going to push the code reviews it, reviews the whole test that you ran, and then essentially it's like having a 2-key system.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the other biggest thing that I think that our takeaway is making sure that you kind of have the 2-key system before you push to prod.
So as I'm listening to you talk about, you having developers in your SOC. So again, just for folks who are aware, right? Like BitLyft's a small company. You've got 20 some odd people at BitLyft?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. That's about right.
And your mission, your charge is, as a security provider, is to provide managed detection and response for companies. And you staff 100%. Developers. And we've had Noah on stream before, and Noah has development chops as well.
I call him a developer, not a developer. is and and I hope that he's not listening today. He's supposed to be on the golf course golfing.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is like we'll be having this conversation. We'll be whiteboarding. We'll be talking about something that we want to build, and then he'll like go home, code it up, and in it like rough draft, and it like works. And I'm like, all right, so we need to give this to developers so that they can develop it. And he's like, well, it's kind of done. And
I'm like, no. Right. Do you see? So you're gonna really, really, really love the blog that I sent you.
Okay. I've put my eyes on it.
You should, not right now on the stream. So chat, yeah. I dropped a manifesto, and I say it's a manifesto because it's like 10 pages long. Jens, if you're in chat, did you get that scheduled to hit the socials or not? I think when you read it, Jason, you'll see where I'm going with that comment. But it may not be so far-fetched if you're telling me that in a modern SOC, it's almost expected that there's some development or some programmatic, knowledge base that would be beneficial, especially in organizations like yours at BitLyft.
All right, you're pushing a button now.
Uh-oh, here we go.
So I will publicly talk about this. We lost a deal.
What?
Telling you we lost a deal.
Okay.
To somebody that did not sign up with us.
Okay.
And it was because I verbally told the CIO that throwing more warm bodies at the problem is not the current modern day solution.
Okay. That sounds pretty controversial to say during the sales process. I don't know that my sales guys would necessarily 100%. Agree with you.
You're right, and that's why probably the sales team at BitLyft has since removed me from such calls. But I'm just being brutally honest.
Yeah.
Like if you don't have developers inside of a modern day SOC, you are missing it. You are a antiquated 10-year-old company then if you're still thinking, oh, we need to hire more people to grow our SOC. No.
So you're saying AI. You're making my AI case for me.
I will say that is that AI and you need software developers. Yeah. Because what I'll tell you, my friend, is that it is because of your software development background that you're doing what you're doing in AI. The stitching of systems together, the writing of Python, the writing of PowerShell, the writing of all of these to help make people's job faster is what the name of the game is. And what this CIO wanted is that he wanted a SOC with 30 or 50 or 100 people in it.
Wow.
To help his 1,100 person sized global company.
Wow.
And I refrained from myself.
Yeah.
I refrained from asking. I so much wanted to ask, how many people do they have in their IT department?
Okay.
Right? Because my search on LinkedIn we'll just say the web.
Yeah.
My search on the web showed that there was about 10. So now I get it. Not everybody's on LinkedIn, and not everybody has an internet presence. So maybe there were some people that were working there in their IT department that did not have a public profile. I got that.
Yeah.
But we told them how many people we had in our SOC.
Yeah. We
also told them some of our customers, who trust us and believe in us every day.
Yeah.
And that we have no problem. And the thing is he said, listen, automation and AI is your friend in this. I'll be honest, we lost a customer from it.
There's a lot I want to unpack on this. We're going to try to cram this into the time we have left because I want to digest this. So you lost the customer due to somebody's perception of how security should be run.
Totally. Yeah. And I kind of thought this to myself, like, okay, well, if you want 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 people, why don't you go hire them and build your own SOC?
Exactly. Like I've been on this train before. When I showed up at Abbott, the CISO looked at me and said, "You have a blank check. I want you to stuff as many people into this SOC as humanly possible. Like, I don't want to pay for a third party. I want a fully managed 24/7 SOC staffed with people." So, I mean, I went to another company almost immediately after that, after 3 years of building that, where they literally said the exact opposite was, I do not want a single person in this SOC other than what's absolutely necessary, and let's leverage as many third parties as humanly possible.
Yes. And I will tell you, so I'm obviously from the third party perspective because we're an MDR company.
Well, obviously,
but
yeah.
I will tell you what, but this is why I tell people we don't really consider ourselves an MSSP.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't start out as an MSP. We're not helping people like manage endpoints and firewalls and manage all of the security stack in their environment. We are not doing that. We are laser focused around detection and response and SIM and log management. And so you won't see all of these plethora of other stuff that I call distractions in dilution, right, of people's time, energy, focus, skill.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you go hire an MDR company, whether it's BitLyft or somebody else, what you're getting is that laser focused attention on being able to do detection and response, right? And furthermore, they are seeing detection and response across a plethora of different companies.
Yeah.
50, 100, or hundreds of different companies, and they can bring that knowledge and skill set to you to the table.
Let me open up my PwC playbook, because I've sat across from CISOs and CEOs before at PwC when I would consult with them, and I've had conversations similar to this. And so I'm going to open up my PwC playbook and tell you what we learned from our decades and decades of experience at consulting was, sure, that's not wrong, but in certain industries, regulatory industries, folks where you have to adhere to tight frameworks, PCI, HIPAA, things like that, at some point in time, hiring an MSP or hiring an MDR is risk deferment that you can't afford if you have to take ownership in a case of an incident.
Yeah. I always find that funny, because in my opinion, no matter how much risk deferment you go and try and hire, at the end of the day, the company is still taking on the risk, because they know, see, as a third party, I can come to you and tell you all the things that you should be doing.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, it's up to you to make the choice whether to go and implement the things that I just told you about.
Yeah.
But if you decide not to go implement what I recommended to you based on budget, based on time, based on resources, whatever the case may be. And let me tell you, out of all the customers that BitLyft has ever had, we have had plenty of people that say, you know what, I heard you. Thank you for your recommendation.
Mm-hmm.
But we cannot implement something that you
Sure.
just told us, because of time, money. Most of the time it's because of money, or it's because of lack of the C-levels or the executives that understand what's going on, and they don't want to spend the money in that direction. And I'm like, well, I hope you guys aren't taking the door locks off the doors to save money on your physical building, because it's kind of like what you're doing here is you're neglecting the digital cybersecurity to the point where you kind of don't have locks in places where you should.
Well, but I'm gonna argue with you on this one, and I want to make sure this is expressly clear. I'm arguing for the sake of providing a counter opinion, because I can't just let you come on the show and take a stance and be unbattled on it. Yeah. I would argue that if I were a mid-cap company, by mid-cap company, let's go $750 million to $5 billion in revenue. Yep. from a yep. monetary perspective. If my security team from the CISO down is 5 people or less, I can realistically hire an MDR and cyber insurance and tell the board that if we ever get popped, it's the MDR's fault.
And I would hope that you would be looking for a job sometime soon. because again, the MDR company could do everything within their power to detect and help you respond to things.
To detect and respond.
Right. But we often, not every MDR company has the keys to the kingdom. You do at the company.
Yeah.
So if you're the CISO and you have keys to the kingdom and you have either approved or disapproved, work that the MDR company is doing.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is not every company says, oh yeah, you can run your automations in our environment.
Yeah.
There's still a whole bunch of companies out there. As much as we love AI and we love automation, there's still a bunch of companies out there that say, you know what? When you find a incident, before you completely respond and like neutralize the activity, we want a phone call, an email. We want you to get a hold of us. We want to get onto a conversation with you and take a look at the situation with you and resolve it with you together. 9 times out of 10, that's the way it goes down. Because a lot of companies out there still have not bought into the full automation, full AI taking over in their environment. They're more scared about that than they are, hey, like, let's have a phone call if you find ransomware in my environment.
Let's have a phone call if you find ransomware in my environment, because by that time I'm looking for a place to blame because you're calling me instead of fighting the freaking ransomware in my environment.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. I and in all fairness, right? I think that let's be expressly clear for anybody who's listening to me or anybody who clips this randomly and needs context later on when they go watch the full stream. I'm not advocating that you blame the MDR if you're a CISO and you choose not to make investments in cybersecurity. I do think that there is an interesting line that gets drawn, and I've always had this stance between when do you hire an MDR versus when do you staff internally, and I do think that it is fundamentally based on what your risk tolerance is, because I do think that you have to take on some risk by bringing a third-party MSP in as your security partner. And that's no offense to BitLyft or any other MSP. I think it is a foregone conclusion that if I own the security for Query, for instance, and I decide to bring in a third party, at some point I have to implicitly trust that third party to act as a partner with me in defending Query's assets.
I agree with that 100%. I do agree with you there. And there is a shared responsibility. It's what I would hope, and I hope that you see this from this angle is like, I'm a big person of like, well, let's document the decisions that we chose along our journey together. Yeah. Because these decisions that we're making together may have repercussions in the future. And you, as the CISO of the company, might forget the decision of why we made such decision verbally. Yeah. But then I have it right here in writing in black and white.
In a notepad somewhere here. It's over here somewhere.
In a notepad or an email.
Right.
In an email. And an email will hold up. Right.
That's right. That's right.
But no, I mean, I love what you're bringing up here. Yeah. And I think it is because I have heard the words spoken. I hired such and such company to defer the risk.
Absolutely. 100%.
And it's said, I would bet you every day in conversations all the time. And at some level, I get it.
Yep.
But at another level, I would say it is a shared responsibility. And I would still say that 51% of the risk and the responsibility is still on 51% or more is still on the company itself.
I think So I want to argue this with you, but I think we got to wrap up here in a little bit.
Holy smokes!
Yeah, I know exactly right. I'll say the last piece, and then we'll wrap it up because I think both you and I have got meetings to run to.
Yeah.
While 51% of the responsibility still falls on me as CISO in protecting the organization, I also think that my legal team has looked at our contracts up and down and looked for every level of indemnification and liability clauses and everything else, because they're thinking about it from, if we're going to hire a third party, those are going to be the first people that we blame. And so we want to make sure the contract language is as favorable to us as possible so that we can look to a third party to blame. Yeah.
And in which case we look at those contracts just as much as that, and make sure that it is shared risk. Because here's the thing. I even tell our customers this: listen, we can do the best we possibly can do for you at detection and response. But the moment you don't include us in a meeting or a decision or a change, and we don't find out until afterwards, and then, oh, by the way, we find out that decision was the root cause of what occurred, well, we are a third party at that point, and you didn't include us into a very critical decision-making process. So you're treating us as a 1099 outside contractor, and you're not including us into the daily meetings that you're having that are important and that are making decisions going forward. And that's what I would say to you guys that are listening on this live stream is like, that's the difference.
Yes.
I tell every one of our customers, treat us as an employee, invite us to the meetings, invite us, because if you are expecting the cybersecurity out of us, no different than if we're a 1099 versus a W-2, then you need to have us be included.
10 of 10 agrees.
Us, then all of a sudden, now we can start to bear some more of that responsibility because we're aware of it just as much of you are of the business changers.
Things to think about, chat. Things to think about, indeed. Jason, thanks for arguing with me on that one. I think we should. I think I know we've talked. I think we talked about this after the last stream about having like a dedicated stream where we talked about, business as a whole. I think this is one of those things that we can add to that conversation about like, what it's like to run BitLyft and what it's like to have that business and make those types of decisions. But good chat as always. Hopefully you don't get.
I didn't even get to my sore isn't dead.
No. Save that one for next time. Save that one for next time.
Yeah.
Save that one for next time. 2 weeks, we're gonna see you again.
Awesome.
I wish you a quiet next 2 weeks. But if not, I'm looking forward to seeing what you got for us.
I'm going on holiday.
That's right. If the CEO goes on holiday, no incidents happen, right?
No incidents, yeah. All
right.
Isn't that how it always goes?
That's totally how it goes. Chat, real quick before I let Jason send us off, don't forget to tune in on Friday with Tea with a Hacker. Apologize for last week. Carmen surprised me by coming home early, and so I had to pick her up from the airport super early in the morning. I apologize that the wife took precedence over a stream, but you know how it is. It was good to see her, good to have her back, although I think she did bring COVID back, Jason, from San Diego, there's COVID running rampant in my house.
Well, hey, as long as you're steering clear of the protesters.
That's right. Jason, send us off, buddy.
Hey. Yeah, well, thank you everyone for listening today. Hope you guys have an awesome week ahead of you. Hopefully Neil shares this blog with everybody and we all read the amazing knowledge that's in his head. And, get a cup of coffee because it's 10 pages.
It is 10 pages. It's a manifesto.
But love you guys. Appreciate you hanging out with us today and watching our live stream, and look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks.
We'll see y'all later.
Take care.
While you can, and I hate to break it to you, I just hope you understand, Every time I wake up, I be feeling down, waiting for a better day to come around.